While you've been perfecting your current skills and staying comfortable in your role, others have been building companies, changing industries, and creating opportunities that didn't exist before. The salary gap widens every year. The responsibility gap becomes a chasm. The impact gap turns into an entirely different league of professional relevance. Your former peers don't just have better jobs, they have better problems. They're dealing with challenges that stretch their capabilities while you're dealing with the same predictable issues you've been handling for years. They're learning new skills because their growth demanded it, while you're using the same skills because your comfort zone required it. They're building networks with interesting people, while you're maintaining relationships with people who think exactly like you do. The research reveals that people stuck in comfort zones spend significantly more time consuming social media than those actively pursuing growth. This creates a vicious cycle where the more stagnant your own life becomes, the more time you spend observing others' progress. You become a spectator to success rather than a participant in your own advancement. The comparison becomes your entertainment because your actual life doesn't provide enough stimulation or satisfaction. Financial comparisons cut deepest because money represents freedom and security that compound over time. The investment decisions you avoided, while others took calculated risks, now represent hundreds of thousands of dollars in different net worth. The business opportunities you researched but never pursued became the foundation for others' financial independence. The career moves you considered but rejected created income trajectories that have left you permanently behind in lifetime earning potential. Location-based comparisons reveal how geographic comfort zones limit entire categories of experiences and opportunities. Your friends who moved to different cities or countries didn't just change their address, they changed their entire possibility landscape. They gained access to industries, cultures, and opportunities that don't exist in your familiar environment. Their expanded worldview creates expanded life options, while your familiar surroundings create familiar limitations. The education gap becomes more painful as you watch others apply knowledge and credentials that you considered pursuing but never committed to obtaining. Graduate degrees that seemed like too much work or too much risk open doors that remain closed to you. Professional certifications that felt unnecessary when you were comfortable become essential requirements for positions you now want but can't access. Physical fitness and health comparisons become more devastating with age as the consequences of avoiding discomfort compound visibly. People who embrace challenging workouts and disciplined nutrition, while you chose comfort food and sedentary habits, now have energy, health, and physical capability that represent years of choices you cannot retroactively change. The gap in physical condition reflects the gap in mental discipline that shows up in every area of life. The most psychologically damaging aspect of comparison is realizing that you've become the cautionary tale that motivates others to take action. Your story of comfort zone living and missed opportunities becomes the example that ambitious people use to remind themselves why they must push through fear and discomfort. You've transformed from someone who might achieve great things into someone who represents what happens when you don't try. Professional networking events become exercises in humiliation as you encounter people who started at your level but now operate in completely different leagues of success and influence. The conversations reveal how far you've fallen behind, not just in achievement, but in thinking, ambition, and capability. You can't even contribute meaningfully to discussions about challenges and opportunities that exist beyond your limited experience. The brutal mathematics of comparison show that gaps between you and others who took action only widen with time. The head start they gained by acting while you hesitated becomes an insurmountable advantage that grows larger every year. The compound benefits of their courage create compound costs for your caution that cannot be recovered through later action. Your comfort zone didn't protect you from pain. It guaranteed you a front-row seat to watch others live the life you were too scared to pursue. But here's what nobody tells you about that gnawing feeling in your stomach when you see others succeeding where you failed to even try. That discomfort you feel isn't weakness or inadequacy. It's actually the most reliable signal you have for identifying exactly what you need to do next. Fear isn't your enemy. It's your GPS pointing directly toward everything that could transform your life. While most people run from fear, research on high achievers reveals they use fear as a compass that guides them toward their most important decisions. When something scares you, that's not a warning to avoid it. That's your internal navigation system telling you that this direction leads to growth, meaning, and the life you actually want to live. The neuroscience behind fear reveals why your brain tries to protect you from exactly the experiences you need most. Your amygdala evolved to keep you alive in physical danger, but it can't distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a job interview. The same alarm system that once saved your ancestors from predators now saves you from opportunities that could change everything. Your brain interprets career risks, relationship conversations, and creative pursuits as life-threatening dangers because they involve uncertainty and potential rejection. But here's what happens when you flip the script and start moving toward your fears instead of away from them. Each time you do something that scares you, your brain rewires itself to handle bigger challenges. Confronting fears literally expands your neural pathways related to confidence, decision-making, and stress tolerance. You don't just overcome the specific fear you faced, you build general fearlessness that applies to every future challenge. Your capacity for handling discomfort grows exponentially with each scary thing you actually do. Research on post-traumatic growth reveals something powerful about human resilience. People who face their fears and push through difficult experiences don't just return to their previous baseline, they develop capabilities and confidence that exceed their original levels. The temporary stress of confronting fear creates permanent expansion of your comfort zone. You become literally more capable of handling whatever life throws at you because you've proven to yourself that you can survive and thrive through discomfort. Compare this to what happens when you consistently avoid fear. Every time you choose safety over growth, your comfort zone shrinks. Your tolerance for uncertainty decreases. Your confidence in your ability to handle challenges diminishes. You train yourself to believe that you're fragile and incapable of dealing with difficulty. The fear doesn't go away when you avoid it, it grows stronger and more controlling. What started as reasonable caution becomes paralyzing anxiety that prevents you from taking any meaningful action. The difference between successful people and everyone else isn't that successful people feel less fear. They feel the same fear, but they've learned to use it as fuel instead of letting it be a brake. They understand that fear signals opportunity. When they feel scared about a potential decision, they lean into that feeling because they know it means they're considering something that could significantly improve their life. They've trained themselves to get excited about fear because they associate it with growth and progress. The research on regret versus action-based fear delivers a crucial insight. The fear you feel before taking action is temporary and manageable. The fear of regret that comes from not taking action is permanent and grows stronger over time. The discomfort of doing something scary lasts hours or days. The discomfort of wondering what would have happened if you had been brave enough to try lasts years or decades. The mathematics are clear. Temporary fear is always preferable to permanent regret. Physical responses to fear follow predictable patterns that you can learn to interpret differently. When your heart rate increases, your palms sweat, and your stomach churns, your body is preparing you for peak performance. Athletes and performers experience these same sensations before competition, and they've learned to interpret them as readiness signals rather than danger warnings. Your body is getting ready to perform at its highest level. The question is whether you'll give it the chance or shut down the opportunity through avoidance. The career implications of fear-based decision-making show up in income statistics and advancement rates across industries. People who consistently choose comfort over challenge plateau early in their careers and stay there. People who regularly do things that scare them, speak up in meetings, volunteer for difficult projects, change companies or industries, advance faster, and earn more throughout their working lives. The correlation between fear confrontation and career success is so strong that you can predict someone's professional trajectory based on their relationship with fear. Social fears create particularly limiting patterns because they prevent the relationship building that opens most significant opportunities. Fear of rejection keeps people from networking, asking for help, or proposing collaborations that could transform their careers. Fear of judgment prevents them from sharing ideas that could solve important problems. Fear of conflict stops them from having conversations that could improve their relationships. The social connections that create the best opportunities in life require you to risk social discomfort. Creative fears destroy potential that can never be recovered. The book that stays unwritten, the business that never launches, the art that never gets created. These aren't just missed opportunities, they're lost contributions to the world. Creative work requires you to risk criticism, failure, and misunderstanding. People who avoid these risks preserve their ego but sacrifice their potential impact. They protect themselves from judgment while denying themselves and others the value they could have created. Financial fears keep people trapped in scarcity, thinking that perpetuates actual scarcity. Fear of losing money prevents people from making investments that could build wealth. Fear of financial failure stops them from starting businesses or changing careers that could dramatically increase their income. The safest financial strategy, keeping money in savings accounts and staying in comfortable jobs, is actually the riskiest long-term approach because it guarantees that inflation and missed opportunities will erode your financial position over time. The compound effects of fear confrontation create momentum that makes each subsequent scary decision easier to make. Once you prove to yourself that you can survive rejection, failure, and discomfort, those outcomes lose their power to control your behavior. You start making decisions based on potential upside rather than potential downside. You begin taking action based on what you could gain rather than what you might lose. This shift in perspective transforms your entire relationship with opportunity and risk. The most empowering realization about fear is that it's temporary, while the benefits of confronting it are permanent. The nervousness you feel before a difficult conversation fades within minutes after you start talking. The anxiety about starting a new job disappears within weeks of beginning. The stress of learning new skills reduces as your competence increases. But the confidence, relationships, and capabilities you gain from pushing through those temporary fears last for years or decades. Everything you want exists on the other side of the fear you're currently avoiding. The career you dream about requires you to risk failure and rejection. The relationship you want demands vulnerability and emotional risk. The creative work you're meant to do requires you to risk criticism and misunderstanding. The life you actually want is waiting for you to be brave enough to feel scared and do it anyway. And that choice, to face your fear or let it control you, that choice is about to become unavoidable. Your moment of truth. This is the moment when everything changes or everything stays exactly the same. Right now, in this exact moment, you're standing at a crossroads that will define the rest of your life. The research shows that within the next few seconds, your brain will make a decision that echoes through every single day you have left. You can choose action or you can choose delay, but you cannot choose to avoid choosing. Your indecision is a decision, and it's the decision that leads to the life you're already living, but don't want to keep living. The mathematics of this moment are brutal and precise. If you take action today on the most important change you've been avoiding, statistical models predict you'll be significantly more likely to achieve your primary life goal within 5 years. If you delay for another month, that likelihood drops dramatically. If you wait 6 months, it plummets further. If you postpone for a full year, you have less than a 3% chance of ever following through. These aren't motivational statistics. They're actuarial calculations based on tracking millions of people who faced the same decision you're facing right now. The person you become over the next 5 years depends entirely on what you do in the next 5 minutes. You will either be someone who acts when they know they should act, or someone who finds reasons to wait when they know they should move. These aren't just different choices, they're different identities that create completely different life trajectories. The action taker experiences compound benefits that multiply over time. The delay taker experiences compound costs that multiply even faster. Let's map out exactly what happens when you choose action today. Within 30 days, you've made measurable progress on the thing you've been avoiding. Your confidence increases because you've proven to yourself that you can follow through. Your brain starts looking for more opportunities to grow because growth feels good. Other people notice your momentum and start responding to you differently. Opportunities that were invisible before become visible because you're operating from a different energy level. By month 6 in the action scenario, you've overcome the initial learning curve and developed competence in your new direction. The fear that once paralyzed you now feels manageable because you've survived the discomfort and discovered it wasn't as terrible as your imagination predicted. Your network has expanded because taking action puts you in contact with other action takers. Your situation has improved because action creates value and value creates results. Year 2 of the action path shows compound effects that become impossible to ignore. Skills you developed in Year 1 become expertise that opens doors you didn't know existed. Relationships you built through taking action become partnerships that accelerate your progress. Confidence you gained from surviving initial challenges becomes unshakable belief in your ability to handle whatever comes next. The momentum you created through consistent action becomes unstoppable force that carries you toward outcomes that once seemed impossible. By Year 5 of choosing action today, you've become someone completely different from who you are right now. You've proven to yourself repeatedly that you can handle fear, uncertainty, and challenges. You've built capabilities that make you valuable in ways you can't currently imagine. You've created a life that reflects your actual values rather than your fears. You wake up excited about your days instead of dreading them. You've become the person you always knew you could be if you just had the courage to start. Now contrast that with the delay path. Month 1 passes, and you're still researching, planning, and preparing. You tell yourself you're being responsible by waiting,